Hello, friends! I'm so excited to talk with you guys today about trust. It is such a difficult topic for basically everybody I know, myself included. Knowing how to trust yourself, trust others, trust the universe. It's a tough one. It's something that I have struggled with a lot in my life. The big thing for me that has been coming up lately is trusting in safety. Trusting that no matter where I go, what I do, what I feel in my body, I am safe, right? And that doesn't mean that nothing bad is going to happen to me. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to leave this body at some point. I can hope and desire that nothing bad happens to me. Hope and desire that when I leave this body, when I pass on, it's, 3 digits of years. That's the hope and the desire. I don't get to choose that, and that's okay. None of us do. Not really. But the important part of this is not trying to control what may or may not happen. The important part is trusting that no matter what does happen, you're going to be okay. And what I mean by that is, how are you going to be okay in the time that you have here? How are you going to trust that no matter what happens, you're okay? Even if something happens that's tough. So there's a lot to say about this topic. One thing that just came through was this idea of really reframing what a bad thing is that happens, right? So, an example is your car breaks down. How are you going to respond to that? Are you going to see that as, this is the worst thing of my day, it's going to cost me so much money to get it fixed, how am I going to get to my job, why does this always happen to me? The list goes on and on of ways that you can respond to it in a negative way. Another way to respond to it is, oh, I guess it's time to get a new car. Or, I wonder what lesson there is to learn from this. Maybe you were meant to meet the mechanic who's going to fix your car because of whatever reason. Coming from a place of, I wonder what lesson is from this, or maybe the lesson is good. You know what I mean? It's coming from a place of, this could actually be a good thing for me. What am I to learn from this? Where am I being redirected here, right? So that's just one example of kind of reframing your experience, your relationship with what happens in your life. I have a client who's absolutely wonderful, and I bring her up because I had her write a list of all the things in her life that she feels are like kind of crappy in her life. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to focus on the bad stuff. And I'm like, just hear me out for a second. Write a list of all the things in your life that you feel kind of suck right now. And I want you to reframe each one to, how is this actually serving me, right? So one of the things that came up for her was, I have a 1-bedroom apartment and it's too small and it's loud and it's frustrating, but she was able to reconsider that and think about all the positive aspects of it. We're saving money, we get to spend time together in a more, more closeness. This is just a bridge for something later. There's just all these different ways you can reframe it. And what that does is it takes away the charge. It puts you out of this kind of negative experience of, this is bad, this is happening to me, to actually, I get to choose how I'm relating to this situation, right? I can actually see something that I thought maybe was kind of a, crappy or bad or negative experience in my life, and actually realize I'm choosing this experience, and I can choose it to be a positive one, right? So back to the idea of safety for me. This is something that I've struggled with in my whole life, and I'm not going to get into right now where all this came from, but some of it did come from past life experiences and this current life experience where it wasn't safe to be safe, right? And so it's something that I personally had to work through a lot. And when I went on this big trip down through California, it was one of my intentions. I actually had multiple intentions for this trip. One of them was to work through some of my issues with feeling safe. So I'm going to share a super personal but super true fear of mine. I have this very, you could call it an irrational fear of dying in a tsunami. It's just a truth. It's just something that I have experienced. The likelihood, I know, is incredibly low. It's not something that happens, but I have this strong phobia of being by the beach sometimes because I am afraid that an earthquake will hit, or a meteor or something will hit the ocean, and the waves will come and just knock us all out, especially while I'm by the beach. You know, it probably won't happen when I'm somewhere else. That's the feeling, that's the fear, that's the thought. That's what comes up for me. And talking about it, of course, sounds silly, right? I can laugh at myself. It seems silly, but there have been times where I'm by the beach and I am just internally riddled with fear. It's just a body response. It's something that I'm aware of. It's just something that I've had to deal with. And so part of this trip, driving down the California coast, staying in hotels on the beach or very close to the beach, I knew this was going to push on this fear, and my intention was to transmute it, to work through it. And so I had a night in Santa Barbara where I was staying in a super nice hotel right across the street from the beach. I was on the ground level, and it was great. I had my own little patio that I could sit out on, and almost could hear the ocean. And I was up most of the night because I was terrified. I was like, if a tsunami hits right now, I'm definitely gone. Like, I'm working through in my mind, you know, what are the ways that I could preemptively make myself safe? Maybe I should have stayed on a higher level. Maybe I should have stayed more inland. You know, my ego brain is constantly searching for ways to preempt the big disaster that I fear so much. And this is how I live my life for so long, was constantly looking for ways out, away from the thing that was going to keep me feeling so unsafe. So I'm in my hotel room in Santa Barbara, one of the most beautiful places that I've been to, a nice room by the beach, and I can't enjoy it because my mind is consumed with this fear. And then something hit me. What if in this beautiful hotel room that I cannot sleep in, even though the bed is comfortable and nice, I got the little pup with me and she's fine, you know, everyone else is fine, right? What if the tsunami that I'm so afraid of hits tonight? So I'm just doing a thought experiment. What if it hits at 7 a.m.? It's 2 in the morning at this point, can't sleep. Wouldn't it be nice if I spent these next 5 hours of my life either sleeping because I was exhausted or enjoying myself, right? And what I mean by that is just relaxing, not being in the fear. What if that did happen? And so I kind of thought about that. I'm like, I have a choice to make. I have two options here. I have this choice. One, I can be in this frazzled fear, which I know is not real. I know it's from the past. Doesn't matter. What matters is I can choose to stay in this intense fear that's keeping me awake when I know I have a big drive the next day. So staying awake all night is not healthy. It's not cute. It's not good for your immune system. It's not good for your anything. I could stay awake and stay in the fear, petrified, terrified that this big tsunami is going to hit me at 7 a.m. Just the idea. Or I can surrender to the fact that I have no idea. Right? Maybe it'll hit at 7 a.m., maybe it will hit in 1,000 years, if ever. I can take a deep breath. I can surrender. I can release this idea, this strong hold I have on this need to protect myself. And just decide, even if it hits at 7 a.m., wouldn't it be better to relax and enjoy my life until then? Because in the end, as powerful as I feel I am of a manifester, have zero control over something like whether a tsunami is going to hit while I'm at the beach, right? The only control I have is deciding how I'm going to respond to these events, whether they're internal, external, doesn't matter. So in that moment, I realized, so what? Who cares if something happens? I get to choose my reality. I get to choose my internal vibration, right? I get to decide, do I want to be afraid or do I want to surrender and just know that whatever happens is gonna happen? I might as well enjoy my life now. Now, I'm not saying my fear is gone. I'm not saying that when things come up, I'm never going to have an internal response to them. But what I am saying is when we have a fear, we have a worry, we have a desire to control an outcome, we're missing the point. We're wasting our life. Because what is life about anyway, right? I heard this idea, and I don't know who to credit. I don't know where this came from, but it was, if you know where this came from, please let me know. Worry is just a meditation on shit. Essentially, right? What are we here for if we're going to spend our lives in worry, in anxiety, in fear, constantly trying to control outcomes? It's kind of like we're creating our own version of hell, in a way. Now, I'm saying this because I've been the queen of this. This is just one example of a huge fear I have. The tsunami's hitting. Totally irrational. I get it. I'll share other stories, maybe not now, later. But this has been a big struggle for me in my life. And so I can tell you, because of that, I've been there and I fully get it. And I'm still going through it. But it's the realization that we get to choose from a higher perspective. So we get to take a deep breath. And we get to notice these fears. And notice that there is an opportunity and an option to choose again. So how do we do this, right? I can tell you this information. And you're like, yeah, it makes sense. The first step is to acknowledge your truth. I'm afraid of a tsunami hitting when I'm at the beach. That's true. That's a fear. That's true. I'm not making fun of myself for saying, oh, that's so dumb, you shouldn't think that. That won't solve the problem. I'm not denying it. I'm not avoiding it. I'm not pretending it's not true. I'm admitting it. This is a real fear of mine. It doesn't matter where it came from. None of that matters. You might be curious. Doesn't matter though. So take that first moment and acknowledge whatever your truth is. The second thing, give yourself love. It came from somewhere. You might think that you chose this, and in a way you did, but something happened to you in your life that gave you this fear, that gave you this worry, that gave you this struggle or stress. Something happened, whether it was in this lifetime, whether it was in a past lifetime, whether it's generational. So many of these things come from our ancestors. They pass it down through DNA. This shit's real. So give yourself some grace. Give yourself some kindness. And maybe some forgiveness for the times that you belittled yourself for your truth. Oh, you're such an asshole. Oh, you're worthless. Oh, you shouldn't be this way. Let all that go, because it's true. Whether you like the feeling is irrelevant. It's a true feeling, so give yourself a break. And then ask yourself, how is this really serving my life? And at the same time, ask yourself, how is it serving your life, right? Because when we have these fears, we have these worries, these traumas, the way that we are programmed through life to respond to them is protective. It's a false sense of safety, but it's still a sense of safety, right? So I want you to acknowledge both sides. The way in which this fear is not serving you, but also the way in which this fear is serving you. And I want you to acknowledge this side of it. So my irrational fear of tsunamis has served me in the sense that it gave me a sense of safety by living in a place that's newer and earthquake safe, or, whatever it is. Just allow yourself to acknowledge, what is it that this fear has done to help you feel safe, and acknowledge it. Okay. All right. And because really it's a way to honor it. And to, again, kind of forgive yourself for the behaviors in response to this fear. And then on the other side, as I mentioned, is this really serving your life? I love the ocean. I love running water. It's so cleansing to me. I love being by the beach. I love that energy. So this big fear is just getting in my damn way. I acknowledge that it has helped keep me safe by having my antenna up at all times. But it's not actually serving me. It's not allowing me to have a life that brings me joy. The stress alone isn't serving me. Not even to mention, what the wonderfulness it would be to have a house on the beach. But anyway, so really ask yourself those questions. And then ask yourself, what's an alternative? What could I be doing, thinking, and being that would allow me to actually enjoy my life more? Knowing that this fear is real, all the things we talked about. Maybe there's a new way. I want you just to imagine the possibility that you could live life differently. And just think about whether you're willing to give that a try. Am I willing to go sit on the beach, get comfortable, breathe into my body, and actually experience the ocean for the beauty that it is, all the things I love about it, and enjoy my life no matter what happens? Full surrender. No more control, because I can't control anyway, it's false. No more avoiding. Just surrender. I might as well enjoy this now, because I don't actually know what's going to happen. And would I rather live my life in fear, terrified, worried, constantly searching. I mean, the energy that goes toward that, when I have no damn control in the end anyway, that energy can be put towards something so much more productive. So you get to choose again, essentially. And you get to choose based on what desire you actually want, the way you actually want to be living your life. And that's it. That's really it. It's not always easy. It can be really hard, actually, and it can be a process, a practice. It can take time, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be long. You can make a choice right now in this very moment that you are going to do things differently. That you're not going to be afraid of whatever it is that keeps you afraid. You're not going to buy into the dysfunction that you bought into 5 minutes ago or whatever it is. You get to choose again. So trusting, this is why we started this video, trusting that no matter what happens in life, you're going to be okay. Even when things happen that don't feel okay. You get to choose again how you respond to it. You get to decide what meaning you take, what lessons you want to learn from any of these external experiences or even internal experiences. So yeah, I want to offer that to you as really a reminder that you have the option to choose. You can choose to trust. You can choose to let go of the strong hold that you have onto your worry. It may have served you in the past to keep you safe and protected. But when you try to be safe and protected, you're actually keeping yourself small. And we have this one life, in this one body, in this one reality, to do something with it. Something meaningful, something powerful. Something that fills you up. We have this one life for that. Do you want to stay small? I stayed small for a long time. I had a lot of people who I know love me helping me stay small. But I've decided to choose again.